tradition with these outdoor roving parties in Australia, which is unique, and it's still going wild today, right?
Yeah, it's not so unique. I mean, one of the things that's always attracted to me about the Dove Seed is that it's very international. You know, we would go to parties where 50% of people were from somewhere else. Lots of Israelis, lots of Japanese people, lots of Brazilians, particularly coming out to parties, and that's always
Brazilians.
But so, and so it's, I have to say that kind of the Burning Man community and going to Burning Man was not as life-changing for us as it is for some, because I think for many people it's the discovery of alternative culture. Oh my God, there is such a thing as non-mainstream culture. There are these communities where I can be who I want to be and create what I want to create. And we belong to a community that was much like that. And so the Burning Man community for us was what keeps, made America worthwhile. If we hadn't been able to find a community like that.
Grand Canyon, total shit.
We'll see that once.
Yosemite, crap. Burning Man, alright. That's alright.
And I was always like, when I was going out to these parties, from a much younger age, I was always very into the idea that it's where you practice the kind of, it's where you begin to practice being, how to say this? I've always really believed in the politics of personal transformation, that it's on its most fundamental level, politics is about the way in which we treat the people around us. Which is why everything's political and why I'm passionate. The organizations I built were about trying to get people to think in political terms, because everyone is political and everything is political. The way I talk to people, the way I treat my parents, the way I treat the person I meet on the street, that's all politics, because politics is just about human relationships. And the kind of world we want to live in is just what are the kind of relationships that we want to engender. And I've always felt like alternative culture was a place where we could practice building those sorts of relationships. And we could practice creating an environment within which the kinds of relationships we wanted to build were brought to the forefront. I think that in America, the burning community is the primary, I don't know, primary, that's kind of unfair ranking, but for us is the main place in which we've found the place where we can practice those relationships, where we can try and be those sorts of people.
Excellent question. You let them go on for like 5 minutes. That's great.
Yeah, that's right.
We have time for a few more questions. Anyone? Yes, ma'am. Your name?
I'm Amy.
Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Hello, Amy.
Recently, also got to camping when I was at PDF last year. But most people know me anyway. I was wondering about what you're doing now with new media, because that's an area I also work in. And I'm very curious about how you found Ashoka and how you're implementing strategies in new media. I actually had coffee this morning with a young new media person working in the DC government who's trying to explain to people what the importance of new media is. And I would just love to hear what strategies you're using, if you have blog, Twitter, Facebook, all that, and what markets you're trying to reach out to, and whether it's a worldwide effort, and a little bit more about this sort of vision that you have with how new media plays a role in really being the arm, as I see it, and the hand that reaches out into the community to really reach individuals and to inspire them and motivate them to then make it more part of their regular lives and not something other. And so that's I see it as a bridge building. And so I was just hoping you could speak a little bit about your thoughts about new media and what you're doing with it.
Yeah. So Ashoka, just to go back a bit, has undergone a real Ashoka's over the last 10 years, 5 years, has redefined its mission. And Ashoka began as, its goal was to be the world's leading association of social entrepreneurs. So it was searching for the language inside the organization is literally the 1 in 10 million. That in a given population, 1 in 10 million will be the kind of social entrepreneur that we're looking for. And that is a social entrepreneur who's working on a systemic level. So someone who sets up a school, runs a really beautiful school. They're not who we're looking for. We're looking for someone who is changing the way in which teaching happens.
Give us an example of a person who does that.
There's lots of great fellows. Who are some of my favorites? One of my favorites is Kaboom Play, and that's an organization in America whose mission is that every child will grow up with a playground within walking distance.
Okay.
And that's a really important mission, and they do that by working in communities to empower those communities to build that playground for themselves. So it works on multiple levels. The playground is the outcome, but the process itself is empowering for a community. The community has to come together, work together, identify this thing they want to do and create that. And they're transforming now into a movement. They themselves will build 200 playgrounds this year. They'll facilitate the building of 1,000.
Impressive.
So they're one of my favorites. So that was the goal. We're looking for these elite, these hero social entrepreneurs in a way. And then the guy who founded Ashoka was the guy who invented the phrase social entrepreneurship, Bill Traynor. So it's the first person to be talking about this. And over 30 years of finding these social entrepreneurs, working with them, they have this amazing opportunity to see what works. 2,000 amazing social entrepreneurs doing all different kinds of work. And they realize that what works is when you empower the community. That while it looks like a hero model, we're picking this one person and saying, you're brilliant, you have great ideas, you're doing a great job, you're going to be an Ashoka Fellow. What's actually creating the change is not just that one person, but their ability to empower the community around them. The successful change happens when a community wants to create that change. And so Ashoka's mission evolved as a result of that learning. And our mission is now not to just identify the world's best social entrepreneurs, but to build an everyone a change maker world. That's our mission. And so it's this vast, big picture mission. And that's exciting for me because it means that media, social media communications is absolutely core to that mission. Nothing else we do scales to everyone. Like none of our programs are literally going to involve everyone. But theoretically our communications, the way in which we talk to people, the way in which we inspire them, could reach all people. And so in terms of our strategy, it's all about storytelling. We used to be very good at, it didn't used to matter to what extent we inspire people, it mattered to what extent we made them give us money. And that's true for a lot of non-profits. The reason we communicate with people at all is because we want them to fund us. There's no other particular, so it's all transactional. Here's this thing we need from you. And we've been trying to transform that. I've been trying to transform that into being that it's not about what they do for us, it's about what we do for them. And it's about the extent to which we communicate with them in ways that make them reevaluate their role in the world, literally. Because the act of creating change begins with thinking of yourself as someone who can create change, giving yourself permission to be the kind of person who creates change. Giving yourself the self-identity of a change maker is the starting point. And so all our communication out through Twitter, through Facebook, etc., is it used to all be about bring people to us, bring people to our website. The only metric that mattered, traffic on our website, and really, donations. And I've kind of thrown all that out the window, and I don't care very much about any of that now. We need enough donations to survive, obviously. But I think what really matters is, are we reaching out to people where they already are? They don't need to come to us, we'll come to them. It's our mission to reach them. It's not their purpose in life to talk to us. So can we tell powerful stories in whatever media, in the mediums that are available? So can we tell powerful stories in 140 characters? I think we can, more or less. It helps when there's a link leading somewhere else. So we have more space.
You can have some more characters there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess my question there is just your target audience has shifted from donors to actually just
doers,
common folk doers, everybody. Like the Barack Obama thing, they said like if everybody gives like $10, I was just reading online about how that changed social media. So the whole strategy of who you're even talking to, who your audience is, has changed.
Yeah, and we don't do much audience segmentation, to be honest, because if our mission is everyone a change maker, then everyone matters. And so the heart of our strategy is storytelling. It's primary. We have to help because it's stories that inspire people to do things differently, fundamentally. It's not data points. It's not conceptual maps. It's not appeals for funds. It's stories about people creating change that inspire other people to think that could be them. So stories, going to where people are, not asking them to come to us, and then involving everyone in the organization. When I arrived at Ashoka, the marketing, my boss was all, used to talk a lot about how our great untapped marketing asset is our fellows. We support these 2,500-ish social entrepreneurs. And everyone was constantly banging their head against, well, how do we get them to talk about us more? How do we get them to promote us? And I'm like, well, they're not going to do that. They all have their own organization.
They're busy changing the world.
Yeah, they're talking about their thing. They're talking about playgrounds. If it's the founder of Kaboom Play, they're talking about Kaboom Play. They're talking about playgrounds. They're not talking about social entrepreneurs for Ashoka. It's not realistic. And actually what our great untapped marketing asset was our staff. Because everyone who works at Ashoka could earn more money elsewhere, could work less hard elsewhere, and so they're there because they care, because they're really passionate. And there's nothing that changes people's minds, hearts, mobilizes them to action more than someone expressing their personal passion, the thing that makes them passionate. And so what social media has allowed us to do is connect all these passionate people inside our organization with people who want to hear that passion, who want to experience that passion outside our organization.
I think you guys need to get together afterwards and exchange some stories. We have time for one more question or two if someone has a burning